And it's the same for XRP DeFi. You know, as much shit as the XRP community gets, it's almost $100 billion of XRP floating around that's yield free. And there's no DeFi ecosystem for it.
Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and that was Charles Hoskinson. But you know what? Well, there sure is a DeFi ecosystem for the digital asset XRP. I don't think maybe he's keeping up. You just have to look to Hugo Filion, the CEO of Flare Networks. He has recognized that XRP is floating around out there in big quantities, and he is one to take advantage of that. Crypto has given him a chance to build something attractive and something to change the entire system. And just moments ago, the cap was lifted on another minting round, this time 15 million. And look, Zaman is involved in this particular lifted cap. So you've got another wallet. And so the question is how soon will they be able to fill that gap? My guess? I think it'll happen in less than 6 hours. This round is fairly large, so it's, yes, a little more aggressive, but I think they'll do it. And since we're talking about Charles Hoskinson, let me just stick with Cardano for a bit. I don't own any ADA right now. Yeah, ADA is one that I lost patience on, unfortunately, and I do really feel that way, that it was unfortunate that I didn't hang in there after meeting the board member to Intersect, which is the driving force behind Cardano. Wow, what a lovely gentleman. I met him in Tokyo just 2 days ago, and it was just fabulous to hear how sharp they are with their vision. And if you want to participate in the Cardano airdrop, that is the token night, you can do that with Doppler Finance now. They are supporting it, and you can get all the details on their X account. We're going to hear from the Ripple CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, and I want to tell you that he reminds everybody that Ripple is just one of the builders that utilize the digital asset XRP and the ledger. He says that there are hundreds of other CEOs building on the ledger. It's open source, it's permissionless, and anybody can use its tools. He really focuses on clarity and how important it is for the entire blockchain space. And too many people are getting caught up in politics. What is the strategy for Ripple? Well, with fair shake, they execute pro-crypto candidates left and right, and it shouldn't be partisan. And if the US is going to lead, you just need to support whoever is pro-crypto. It doesn't matter if they're Republicans or Democrats. And over the arc of time, he thinks they'll get it right. He made a very interesting anti-competitive statement, and it's regarding the master account with the banking license that they have applied for. And, you know, the scoop here is, wow, this was surprising. Peter Thiel is backing a bank, and it was the fastest conditional approval for a depository institution application in 25 years. Yeah, they have just slid through the process in a matter of months. This bank is going to be full service. It is insured as a national bank that plans to target individuals who utilize virtual currencies. And if you are curious for the OCC newsroom announcement on that, or the letter that was created, you can find that on my X feed. Let's hear the portion when he was asked about his application.
And speaking of banks, I mean, Ripple has applied for a national bank charter.
Yes.
Can you just sort of give a brief overview, any updates in that process? How are things going there?
I don't know the exact answer. I mean, look, I think it depends who you talk to. It's been a little disappointing to see some of the traditional banks start to lobby against things like that. It's like, look, if we want more stability, we want clear regulation, having a Fed master account actually is a net plus to that. You want to de-risk stablecoins, having Circle have a Fed master account, have Ripple have a Fed master account, that's actually a good thing. And held to the same regulatory standards as a bank. Great, we're in. We feel like we're already doing that. Ripple launched our stablecoin under a New York Trust license, which we feel like is the gold standard above what even others have done, because we are all about serving institutional money movement. And institutions aren't going to work with us unless we have really leaned into being compliance first.
Mm-hmm. And I know there have been some concerns raised from community banks who say, look, if you give Ripple and others a bank charter or a master account, we're concerned that you're already going to see funding. Trillions, I think, are projected to go from some of these smaller banks into crypto. There's a concern about a lack of capital. How do you respond to that?
There's nothing that stops community banks from leaning into these new technologies also. This is kind of the classic, people are afraid of innovation and the innovator's dilemma. And we shouldn't penalize customers, consumers, based upon, maybe a particular community bank's unwillingness to lean into new technologies. That doesn't make sense to me. We should want community banks. If anything, it should be, how do we provide clarity such that community banks can be served and leverage these technologies and compete with Citibank? That's a good thing. Right now, the community bank has to pay Citibank. I shouldn't pick on Citi. I like Brent a lot, actually. But let's say HSBC. They're not represented here. But the big correspondent banks are making money from the community banks by actually being their correspondent bank to settle cross-border transactions.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you recognize this person? This is the CEO of Citibank. Jane Fraser made the most interesting comment in the third quarter earnings call. She warns of an overfocus on stablecoins, and she favors tokenized deposits over stablecoins for safe, low-cost payments. How can we not just check in with what's going on with gold? It's on a tear, up $72 in the last 24 hours or 1.74%. And look at silver go too. It is just booming, up $1.42 or 2.72%. It is very much precious metals season. And what really caught me off guard was the IMF. This is Georgina, and she is telling everybody, you got to take a reality check because these digital assets and crypto, they're here to stay. I'm going to put a link to the big Sumo tournament that is happening in the UK at the Royal Albert Hall, and it's packed to the hilt in terms of the audience, and they are really into it. They're very much participating in the kakegoe, which is the kind of shouting or yelling or enthusiasm that the fans do by tradition on certain moves. We're looking at right now the Yokozuna doing an open ceremony, and they really, as he pounds down on that dohyo, which is to wake up the gods and say, hey, we're here and we're ready to take on the matches. Yeah, the bouts have been exciting. They've got great coverage. I'm going to put a link to the recap of today's events that just finished a few hours ago. It's fantastic. All right, everybody. Until next time, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.